How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, March 12th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Friday, March 11th. And of course, before I preview everything that's going on today, I'm going to take a quick step back and take a glance at where we are in the calendar year. As we are 1 month removed from the NFL season, we are at the end of the college basketball season. We are in the conference tournament stage as Selection Sunday is tomorrow. That will decide the 64 or 68 teams that will be selected in the men's and women's March Madness tournaments. In the NBA, the season is coming to an end with about a month left as teams are starting to figure out where they're going to be seated in the playoffs. And now that we are in the 2022 calendar year firmly, we are reaching the end stages, the final leg of the soccer season, as well as domestic seasons and international tournaments are also coming to an end as well. Taking a look first at what's going on with college basketball at the ranked top 25 teams that played basketball yesterday within their conference tournaments. Starting with the highest ranked team to play yesterday, the second ranked Arizona Wildcats would face off against the unranked Colorado Buffaloes in the semifinal round of the Pac-12 tournament. The second-ranked Arizona Wildcats would end up beating unranked Colorado 82-72. They would go on to win by 10 points after outscoring Colorado by 9 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the second-ranked Wildcats would be led in scoring by their starting forward, Azuolas Tubelis. He would go on to finish with 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 steals. He shot 9 for 14 from the field, and he would make his only three-pointer of the day. He made his only free throw of the day as well. With this win, the second-ranked Arizona Wildcats are 30-3 on the season after having finished with an 18-2 regular season record in the Pac-12. With this win, they will advance to the final round of the Pac-12, and with this loss, the unranked Colorado Buffaloes are now 21-11. They are here after they finished with the fourth best record in the Pac-12 at 12-8. With this loss, they're just going to have to wait until Selection Sunday to see if their name is called, as Arizona is still competing for a number 1 seed. Looking at the fourth-ranked team in the nation, the Auburn Tigers, the top team in the SEC, would face off against the unranked Texas A&M Aggies in the quarterfinal round of the SEC tournament. The fourth-ranked Auburn Tigers would end up getting upset. The Aggies would end up beating Auburn 67-62. They won by 5 after outscoring Auburn by 16 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the fourth-ranked Auburn Tigers were led in scoring by their starting forward, Jabari Smith. He would go on to finish with 17 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. He shot 5 for 16 from the field, and he would shoot 4 for 6 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Texas A&M Aggies were led in scoring by their starting guard, Tyrese Radford. He finished with 19 points and 8 rebounds. He shot 7 for 8 from the field and 5 for 6 from 3. With this win, the unranked Texas A&M Aggies are now 22-11. They are here after they finished with a 9-9 record in the SEC. They had tied with LSU, Alabama, Florida, and South Carolina with the 5th best record. As with this win, they will now advance to the semifinal round of the SEC tournament. With this loss, the 4th-ranked Auburn Tigers will finish their regular season with a 27-5 record after they finished with a 15-3 regular season record in the SEC. That was the best regular season record in the conference. With this loss, they do know that they will be either a 1 or a 2 seed in this tournament, so their season is not officially over, as Texas A&M will advance to the semifinal round. Staying within the SEC tournament, looking at the 5th-ranked team in the nation, the Kentucky Wildcats would face off against the unranked Vanderbilt Commodores in the quarterfinal round of the SEC tournament. 5th-ranked Kentucky would beat Vanderbilt 77-71. They won by 6 after outscoring Vanderbilt by 4 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 5th-ranked Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting guard, Ty Washington Jr. He would go on to finish with 25 points, and he shot 8 for 15 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the 5th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats will advance to the semifinals of the the SEC tournament with a 26-6 record. They had finished the SEC season with a 14-4 record, tied with Tennessee for the second best record in the regular season as they advanced to the semis. With this loss, the Vanderbilt Commodores will finish their 2021-22 season with a 17-16 record. They finished here after finishing with a 7-11 record in the SEC. That was the fourth worst record in the conference entering the tournament. So, of course, good win for Kentucky as they advance. Looking at the sixth-ranked team in the nation, the Kansas Jayhawks would face off against the unranked TCU Horned Frogs in the semifinal round of the Big 12 championship. Kansas would end up beating TCU by 13. They won it 75-62 to advance to the finals. Kansas would win this game by 13 after outscoring TCU by 14 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the sixth-ranked Jayhawks were led in scoring by their starting guard, Ochai Agbaji. He finished with 22 points. He shot 9 for 17 for the field, and he would go on to shoot 2 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the sixth-ranked Kansas Jayhawks will advance to the final of the Big 12 championship tournament as they are currently holding a 27-6 record. They entered this tournament tied with Baylor, the defending champs, for the best record in the Big 12 entering the tournament. With this loss, the TCU Horned Frogs have finished their regular season with a 20-12 record. They finished the Big 12 season with an 8-10 record. They were tied with Oklahoma State for the fifth best and or sixth worst record in the entire conference. And with this loss, the TCU Horned Frogs are going to have to wait until Selection Sunday to see if their name is called, as it looks as though Kansas season is definitely far from over at this moment. Looking at the seventh-ranked team in the nation, the team representing my alma mater, the Duke Blue Devils, would face off against the unranked Miami Hurricanes in the semifinal round of the ACC tournament. Duke would go on to win this matchup by 4. They won it 80-60 after outscoring Miami by 4 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the seventh-ranked Blue Devils were led in scoring by their starting forward, A.J. Griffin. He finished with 21 points and 7 rebounds. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the seventh-ranked Duke Blue Devils are now 28-5 as they advance to the ACC tournament final. They entered this round after having finished with the best regular season record in the ACC at 16-4. With this loss, the unranked Miami Hurricanes will finish their regular season with a 23-10 record as they entered this tournament with a 14-6 record in the ACC. That was the fourth best record in the tournament behind Duke, North Carolina, and Notre Dame. At this moment, Miami is going to have to wait until Selection Sunday to see if their name is going to be called in this tournament. I do think that Miami is going to be a team that makes it, but at the same time, with Duke knocking them out in the semis, they're just going to have to wait and see if they had a good enough season to make it. Jumping out to the 8th-ranked team in the nation, the Villanova Wildcats would face off against the 20th-ranked UConn Huskies in the semifinal round of the Big East tournament in Madison Square Garden. Villanova would beat UConn to advance to the final after they won 63-60. They won by 3 after outscoring UConn by 2 in the second half. It was a very close game the whole way. On the losing end of this matchup, the 20th-ranked UConn Huskies were led in scoring by their starting guard, Tyrese Martin. He finished with 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals. He shot 7 for 17 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and he made his only 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the 8th-ranked Villanova Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting forward, Jermaine Samuels. He finished with 21 points and 12 rebounds. He would go on to shoot 7 for 17 from the field. He shot 3 for 8 from 3 and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the 8th-ranked Villanova Wildcats are now 25-7 as they advance to the final of the Big East tournament. They are here after they finished with a 16-4 record in the conference, the second best record coming in. With this loss, the 20th-ranked UConn Huskies are now 23-9 on the season as they finished their regular season with a 13-6 record, the third best record in the Big East on the year. With this loss, having lost as a ranked team, it looks as though the UConn Huskies are going to be a team whose next game will be in the tournament, and they're just going to have to wait and see where they get seeded, as Villanova will be the team from this matchup that will advance. Looking at the 9th-ranked team in the nation, the Tennessee Volunteers would face off against the unranked Mississippi State Bulldogs. Tennessee would beat Mississippi State 72-59. They won by 13 after outscoring the Bulldogs by 11 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 9th-ranked Volunteers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Josiah Jordan James. He would go on to finish with 16 points and 5 rebounds in 30 minutes. He shot 6 for 11 from the field and 4 for 6 from 3. With this win, the 9th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers will advance to the SEC semifinals with a 24-7 record. They entered this tournament with a 14-4 record, tied with Kentucky for the second-best record in the entire conference. With this loss, the unranked Mississippi State Bulldogs will finish their 2021-22 season with an 18-5 record after having finished with an 8-10 SEC record. They held the 5th worst record in the conference, and this is how their season ends. Now taking a look at what happened with the other 9th-ranked team in the nation out in the Big Ten quarterfinal. The Purdue Boilermakers would face off against the unranked Penn State Nittany Lions. Purdue would end up beating Penn State by 8. They won 69-61 after they outscored Penn State by 4 in both halves. On the winning end of this matchup, the 9th-ranked Boilermakers would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Jaden Ivey. He finished with 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks. He shot 6 for 13 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the 9th-ranked Purdue Boilermakers are now entering the Big Ten semifinals with a 26-6 record after they had finished with the 3rd best record in the Big Ten after Wisconsin and Illinois. With this loss, the unranked Penn State Nittany Lions will finish their 2021-22 basketball season with a 14-17 record. This coming after they finished with a 7-13 record in their conference, tied with Maryland and Northwestern for the 3rd worst record in the Big Ten on the year once it came to an end. Now taking a look at what happened with the 11th-ranked team in the nation, the Providence Friars would face off against the unranked Creighton Blue Jays in the Big East semifinal in New York. Creighton would end up beating Providence, upsetting them. They beat them 85-58. They won by 27 points after outscoring Providence by 15 in the first half and by 12 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 11th-ranked Providence Friars were led in scoring by their starting guard, Al Durham. He finished with 21 points and 5 rebounds. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and he made all 5 of his free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Creighton Blue Jays were led in scoring by their starting guard, Alex O'Connell. He finished with 18 points in 35 minutes. He would go on to shoot 5 for 10 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the unranked Creighton Blue Jays will advance to the Big East final to get a better chance of entering the tournament. And after they finished with a 12-7 regular season record in the Big East. That was the 4th best record in the conference behind Providence, Villanova, and UConn. With this loss, the 11th-ranked Providence Friars have finished their regular season with a 25-5 record after they finished with a 14-3 record in the Big East, which was the best record win percentage-wise in the conference. With having finished as a ranked team, Providence should expect their next game to be in the March Madness tournament, as Creighton will be the team to advance to the final. Now taking a look at what happened with the 12th-ranked team in the nation, the Wisconsin Badgers would face off against the unranked Michigan State Spartans in the Big Ten quarterfinal round. Michigan State ended up beating Wisconsin by 6. They won 69-63 after they outscored Wisconsin by 4 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 12th-ranked Wisconsin Badgers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Brad Davison. He finished with 23 points in 36 minutes. He would go on, as he fouled out in his 36 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and he shot 4 for 5 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Michigan State Spartans were led in scoring by their starting forward, Marcus Bingham Jr. He finished with 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks. He shot 7 for 11 from the field and 5 for 7 from the foul line. With this win, the unranked Michigan State Spartans will advance to the Big Ten semifinal round as they are still fighting for a good spot in the tournament. With this loss, the 12th ranked Wisconsin Badgers will finish their season with a 24-7 record as their next game will be in the tournament following this loss as a ranked team. This coming after their 15-5 regular season, which saw them finishing alongside Illinois, tied for the best record in the Big Ten in the regular season this year. So their season is definitely not over at this point. Now, taking a look at what happened with the 13th ranked team in the nation, the UCLA Bruins would face off against the 21st ranked USC Trojans in this battle of LA in the Pac-12 semifinal round. UCLA would beat USC by 10. They won 69-59 after outscoring USC by 8 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 21st ranked USC Trojans were led in scoring by their starting guard, Boogie Ellis. He finished with 27 points and 5 rebounds. He shot 9 for 17 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the 13th ranked UCLA Bruins were led in scoring by their starting guard, Jaime Jaquez Jr. He finished with 19 points and 5 rebounds. He shot 6 for 9 from the field and 7 for 8 from the foul line. With this win, the 13th ranked UCLA Bruins will enter the Pac-12 final with a 25-6 record after having finished with a 15-5 Pac-12 record in the regular season. That was the second best record in the conference behind Arizona. And with this loss, the 21st ranked USC Trojans now in their 2021-22 regular season with a 26-7 record. This coming after they finished with a 14-6 record in the Pac-12. That was the third best record in the conference behind Arizona and UCLA. After they had lost as a ranked team, USC should expect their next matchup to be in the round of 64 in the NCAA tournament. So that's how the Pac-12 is looking. Now taking a look, and of course, and with this win, they will face off against second-ranked Arizona, but I'll get into that. But looking at the 14th-ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders, they would face off against the unranked Oklahoma Sooners in the Big 12 championship semifinal round. Texas Tech would end up beating Oklahoma by 1. They won 56-55 after they outscored Oklahoma by 11 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 14th-ranked Red Raiders were led in scoring by their starting forward, Kevin Obanor, and their starting guard, Davion Warren. Obanor finished with 11 points as he shot 4 for 7 from the field and 3 for 6 from 3. Warren would finish with 11 points and 3 steals. He shot 5 for 9 from the field. With this win, the 14th ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders will advance to the Big 12 championship final. Or they'll advance to the Big 12 championship game with a 25-8 record. This coming after they finished with a 12-6 record in the Big 12. That was the third best record in the conference behind Kansas and Baylor this year. With this loss, the unranked Oklahoma Sooners season will come to an end after finishing with an 18-15 record. This coming after they finished with a 7-11 record in the conference, tied with Iowa State for the third worst record in the conference. That's how their season comes to an end. Now taking a look at what happened with the 15th ranked team in the nation. The Arkansas Razorbacks would face off against the unranked LSU Tigers in the quarterfinal round of the SEC tournament. Arkansas would end up beating LSU by 12. They won 79-67 after they outscored LSU by 9 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 15th ranked Razorbacks would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Audize Tony. Sorry if I butchered the name. He was going to finish with 22 points and 10 rebounds. He shot 6 for 11 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and he shot 8 for 10 from the foul line. With this win, the 15th ranked Arkansas Razorbacks will advance to the SEC semifinal round with a 25-7 record. This coming after they finished with a 13-5 record in the SEC this season. That was the fourth best record in the conference. With this loss, the unranked LSU LSU Tigers will have their season end with a 22-11 record as they finish their season with a 9-9 record in the SEC. They finished tied with Texas A&M, Alabama, Florida, and South Carolina for the fifth best record in the conference. They are just going to have to wait for Selection Sunday to see if their name is called, because that's where the LSU Tigers season is sitting right now. But of course, that's how their season comes to an end, as Arkansas will be the team to advance. Now, taking a look at the 16th ranked team in the nation, the Illinois Fighting Illini would face off against the unranked Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana would end up beating Illinois 65-63. They would win this game by 2 after outscoring Illinois by 4 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 16th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini, who were tied for the best record in the conference in the regular season, were led in scoring by their starting center, Kofi Cockburn. He finished with 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks. He shot 8 for 13 from the field and 7 for 8 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Hoosiers were led in scoring by their starting forward, Trace Jackson Davis. He finished with 21 points and 7 rebounds. He shot 9 for 13 from the field and 3 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the unranked Indiana Hoosiers will advance to the Big Ten semifinal game, as they are currently holding a 20-12 record. This comes after they finished with a 9-11 record in the Big Ten this year. Their 9-11 record was the 6th worst record in the conference. With this loss, the 16th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini will enter the tournament with a 22-9 record. Their quarterfinal loss comes after they tied with Wisconsin at 15-5 for the best record in the Big Ten. But like I said, they were a ranked team, so their next game is going to be in the tournament. With that said, taking a look at the 18th ranked team in the nation, the Houston Cougars would face off against the unranked Cincinnati Bearcats. And in this matchup, the Cougars would end up beating the Bearcats by 13. They won it 69-56 after they outscored Cincy by 18 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 18th ranked Houston Cougars were led in scoring by their starting forward, Fabian White Jr. He finished with 18 points and 8 rebounds. He would go on to shoot 7 for 13 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and he made both of his free throws on the night. With this win, the 18th ranked Houston Cougars will advance to the American Conference semifinal round with a 27-5 record. This coming after they finished with the best record in their conference in the regular season, with a 15-3 record. With this loss, the Cincinnati Bearcats season will come to an end, as they finished their season with an 18-15 record. They finished with a 7-11 record in the American Conference. That was the 4th worst record in the conference, as they finished ahead of South Florida, Tulsa, and East Carolina for the end of their season. Taking a look now what happened with the 23rd ranked team in the nation, the Colorado State Rams would face off against the unranked San Diego State Aztecs. San Diego State would end up upsetting the Rams, the only ranked team in the Mountain West. San Diego State won it by 5. They won it 63-58 after outscoring Colorado State by 9 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 23rd ranked Colorado State Rams were led in scoring by their starting guard, David Roddy. He finished with 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 steals. He shot 7 for 14 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3. Their starting guard, Isaiah Stevens, finished with 21 points. He shot 9 for 13 from the field and 3 for 5 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked San Diego State Aztecs were led in scoring by their starting guard, Trey Pulliam. He finished with 11 points and 6 assists. He shot 4 for 8 from the field and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the unranked San Diego State Aztecs will advance to the Mountain West Championship game, as they are currently holding a 23-7 record. They enter the championship game after having finished with the 3rd best record in the Mountain West, behind Boise State and Colorado State. With this loss, the 23rd ranked Colorado State Rams will enter the tournament with a 25-5 record after having finished with the 2nd best record in the Mountain West this year at 14-4. So that's how their season came to an end. Now, taking a look at what happened with the 24th ranked team in the nation, the Iowa Hawkeyes would face off against the unranked Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Iowa would end up winning this matchup by 10 in the quarterfinal round of the Big Ten tournament. They would win 84-74 after outscoring Rutgers by 9 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 24th ranked Hawkeyes were led in scoring by their starting forward, Keegan Murray. He finished with 26 points and 8 rebounds as he would go on to finish with the most points in an Iowa season. He would go on to shoot 10 for 19 from the field and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the 24th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes will advance to the semifinal round of the Big Ten tournament, holding a 24-9 record. This coming after they tied with Rutgers and Ohio State for the fourth best record in the Big Ten. With this loss, the unranked Rutgers Scarlet Knights will see their season come to an end with an 18-13 record. This comes after they tied with Iowa and Ohio State for the fourth best record in the Big Ten at 12-8. They're going to have to wait and see if their name gets called on Selection Sunday, but at this point, I don't think they will, despite their good conference record. And then last but not least, looking at the lowest ranked team to play yesterday, the 25th ranked North Carolina Tar Heels would face off against the unranked Virginia Tech Hokies in the semifinal round of the ACC tournament. Virginia Tech would end up beating UNC by 13. They won it 72-59 after they outscored North Carolina by 7 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 25th ranked North Carolina Tar Heels were led in scoring by their starting forward, Armando Bacot. He would go on to finish with 19 points and 14 rebounds as he fouled out in 36 minutes. He shot 9 for 10 from the field and he shot 1 for 2 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Virginia Tech Hokies would be led in scoring by their guard off the bench, Darius Maddox. He finished with 20 points and 6 rebounds. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3, and he shot 2 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the unranked Virginia Tech Hokies keep their tournament hopes alive as they will enter the ACC championship game for the first time, holding a 22-12 record. This comes after they finished with an 11-9 record in the ACC, which would go down as the 7th best record in the conference this year. With this loss, the 25th ranked North Carolina Tar Heels will enter the March Madness tournament, holding a 24-9 record as they would go on to finish the ACC tied with Notre Dame with the second best record in the conference at 15-5. So that is how their regular season comes to an end, as their next game, like I said, will be in the tournament. Taking a look at what's going on today on Saturday, the day before Selection Sunday, as we get a look at what's going on today. At 1 o'clock on ESPN in the semifinal round of the SEC tournament in Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida, the 15th ranked Arkansas Razorbacks are going to face off against the unranked Texas A&M Aggies. Arkansas enters this matchup after having finished with a 13-5 record in the SEC. At 1 o'clock on CBS in Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, the 24th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes are going to face off against the unranked Indiana Hoosiers. This comes after Iowa finished with a 12-8 record in the Big Ten. This will be a very big matchup. Of course, the winner of this will face off against the winner between Michigan State and Purdue. At 3 o'clock on ESPN2 in Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas, the 18th ranked Houston Cougars are going to face off against the unranked Tulane Green Wave in the American Conference semifinal game. This comes after Houston finished their season with a 15-3 record in the conference. And then, of course, additionally, or just 30 minutes later on CBS in Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, the 9th-ranked Purdue Boilermakers are going to face off against the unranked Michigan State Spartans in the Big Ten semifinal matchup. This comes after Purdue finished with a 14-6 record in the Big Ten. The winner of this matchup will face off against the winner between Iowa and Indiana. Not to mention that also at 3 o'clock on ESPN and Amalie Arena, the 9th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers are going to face off against the 5th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats in the SEC semifinal game. Both teams enter this matchup after having finished with a 14-4 record in the SEC, right behind Auburn. The winner of this matchup will face off against the winner between Texas A&M and Arkansas in the SEC championship. At 6 o'clock on ESPN in the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Missouri, the 6th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks are going to face off against the 14th-ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders in the Big 12 championship final. Texas Tech enters this matchup after having finished with a 12-6 record in the Big 12. Kansas enters this matchup after having finished with a 14-4 record in the Big 12, tied for the best record in the conference going in. 30 minutes later, at 6:30 on Fox, the 8th-ranked Villanova Wildcats are going to face off against the unranked Creighton Blue Jays in the Big East Tournament Final in Madison Square Garden in New York. Villanova enters this matchup after having finished with a 16-4 record in the Big East. That was the second-best record in the conference win percentage-wise. At 8:30 on ESPN in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, the Duke Blue Devils, representing my alma mater, Duke University, are going to face off against the unranked Virginia Tech Hokies in the ACC Tournament Final. Duke enters this matchup after having finished with a 16-4 record in the ACC. Last but not least, at 9 o'clock on Fox in T-Mobile Arena, the 2nd-ranked Arizona Wildcats are going to face off against the 13th-ranked UCLA Bruins in the Pac-12 tournament final. UCLA enters this matchup after having finished with the second-best record in the Pac-12 at 15-5. Arizona enters this matchup after having finished with the best conference record in the Pac-12 at 18-2. So that's going to be a lot to look forward to as we are advancing through the college basketball season one day at a time. Now taking a look at what happened in the NBA yesterday, starting off in Orlando, the Magic would host the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Magic ended up beating the Timberwolves 118-110. The Magic won this game by 8 after they outscored the Timberwolves by 9 in the third quarter, not to mention 13 for the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Minnesota Timberwolves were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward, Anthony Edwards. He finished with 25 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists in 34 minutes. He shot 9 for 19 from the field, 4 for 11 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their elite starting center out of Kentucky, Karl Anthony Towns, finished with 21 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks, all in 34 minutes. He shot 6 for 14 from the field. He would shoot 1 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Orlando Magic would be led in scoring by their starting center, Mo Bamba, out of Texas. He finished with 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 10 for 15 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their other starting center out of Duke, Wendell Carter Jr., finished with 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 15 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Orlando Magic are now 18-50. That is still the worst record in the Eastern Conference, as they've now won their last 2 games and they've won 5 of their last 10. Because they have one more win than the Rockets, they are currently holding the second worst record in the NBA. They are currently sitting 15 games behind the 10th place Atlanta Hawks out east. With this loss, the Minnesota Timberwolves are now 38-30. That is the 7th best record in the Western Conference, as they've only lost 3 of their last 10 games. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they are sitting 2.5 games behind the 6th place Denver Nuggets. They are sitting 3.5 games ahead of the 8th place Los Angeles Clippers. And they are currently trailing the NBA leading and the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 15.5 games in the conference. Taking a look at what happened in Atlanta, the Atlanta Hawks hosted the Los Angeles Clippers. The Hawks would beat the Clippers 112-106. They won by 6 points after outscoring the Clippers by 9 in the first quarter and by 5 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Los Angeles Clippers were led in scoring by their starting center, Ivica Zubac, and their starting point guard, Reggie Jackson. Zubac would finish with 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 36 minutes. He shot 10 for 13 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Reggie Jackson finished with 24 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 turnovers in 40 minutes. He shot 9 for 20 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Atlanta Hawks would be led in scoring by their elite starting point guard, Trae Young. He finished with 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 11 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and he would go on to shoot 10 for 12 from the foul line. Their starting center out of Switzerland, Clint Capella, would finish with 14 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 26 minutes. He shot 7 for 9 from the field. With this win, the Atlanta Hawks are now 32-34. That is the 10th best record in the Eastern Conference, as they've now won 6 of their last 10 games. They have 1 less win and 1 less loss than the 9th place Charlotte Hornets, so they sit about even with them, even though they sit just below them in the playoff picture. Sitting alongside the Hornets, the Hawks are sitting a game and a half behind the 8th place Brooklyn Nets. They are also sitting 2.5 games ahead of the 11th place Washington Wizards, who are the first team on the outside of the Eastern Conference play-in picture looking in. The Hawks currently trail the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat by 12 games at the moment. With this loss, the Los Angeles Clippers are 35-34. That is the 8th best record in the Western Conference. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they are sitting 3.5 games behind the 7th place Minnesota Timberwolves. They are sitting 4.5 games ahead of the 9th place Los Angeles Lakers, and they are trailing the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 19 games at the moment. Jumping out to Boston, the Boston Celtics hosted the Detroit Pistons. The Celtics would beat the Pistons 114-113. The Celtics won this game by 11 after they outscored the Pistons by 12 points in the second half, by 9 points in the fourth quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Detroit Pistons were led in scoring by their starting point guard, the last year's number 1 overall pick out of Oklahoma State, Cade Cunningham. Cunningham finished with 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists in 41 minutes. He shot 10 for 27 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting power forward out of Duke, Marvin Bagley III, would finish with 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 steals. He would shoot 9 for 15 from the field and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting small forward, Jeremy Grant, would finish with 20 points in 3 blocks in 38 minutes. He shot 6 for 17 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Boston Celtics were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward out of Duke, Jason Tatum. He finished with 31 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 13 for 27 from the field. He shot 2 for 9 from 3 and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard, Jaylen Brown, would finish with 22 points and 8 rebounds in 34 minutes. He shot 8 for 22 from the field and 5 for 7 from the foul line. Their starting point guard, Marcus Smart, would finish with 20 points, 5 assists, and 5 steals in 33 minutes. He shot 6 for 10 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the foul line. With this win, the Boston Celtics are now 41-27. That is the 5th best record in the Eastern Conference, win percentage-wise. They've now won their last 5 games. Their 5-game winning streak is the second longest active winning streak in the Eastern Conference. The Celtics have won 8 of their last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they sit about even with the Bulls, but they have 1 more win and 1 less loss. But sitting alongside the Bulls, they are sitting half a game behind the 3rd place Philadelphia 76ers. They are sitting 2 games ahead of the 6th place Cleveland Cavaliers. They are sitting 4 full games behind the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat at the moment. With this and just to also say it, the Celtics have also clinched not having a losing record by picking up their 41st win of the season. They are the 3rd team in the Eastern Conference to pick up 41 wins. With this loss, the Detroit Pistons are now 18-49. That is the 2nd worst record in the Eastern Conference, as they have now lost their last 2 games. They've lost 4 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 14.5 games behind the 10th place Atlanta Hawks outside the Eastern Conference play-in picture. Jumping out to Miami, the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat hosted the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Heat beat the Cavaliers 117-105. They won this game by 12 after outscoring Cleveland by 10 in the first quarter and then by 12 in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Cleveland Cavaliers were led in scoring by their all-star starting point guard out of Vanderbilt, Darius Garland. He finished with 24 points, 2 assists, he finished with 24 points, 2 rebounds, 10 assists, and 7 turnovers in 37 minutes. Garland shot 4 for 17 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. He shot 15 for 16 from the foul line. Their rookie starting center out of USC, Evan Mobley, finished with 19 points and 12 rebounds in 34 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field and 5 for 6 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Miami Heat were led in scoring by their starting center, Bam Adebayo. He finished with 30 points, 17 rebounds, and 3 steals in 33 minutes. He shot 11 for 16 from the field and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. Their elite starting small forward, Jimmy Butler, finished with 24 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. He did all this in 34 minutes as he shot 7 for 14 from the field and 10 for 12 from the foul line. Their guard off the bench, Tyler Hero, finished with 22 points in 34 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Miami Heat are now 45-23. That is the best record in the Eastern Conference, as they have now won 8 of their last 10 games. They are currently holding on to the 4th best record in the NBA, as they are sitting 2.5 games ahead of the second place defending champs Milwaukee Bucks out east. The Heat have won 8 of their last 10 games to get a sense of how hot they've been, at least recently. With this loss, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 38-28. That is the 6th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've now lost 7 of their last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they sit 2 games behind the 5th place Boston Celtics. They sit 2 games ahead of the 7th place Toronto Raptors. They are now trailing the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat by 6 full games in the conference. Jumping out to Houston, the Houston Rockets hosted the Dallas Mavericks from within the state. The Mavericks would beat the Rockets 113-100 to make sure that they would not get have a losing record this year. The Mavericks won this game by 13 after they outscored the Rockets by 8 in the first quarter and then by 15 in the second quarter. They outscored the Rockets by 23 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Houston Rockets were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Kevin Porter Jr., and their shooting guard off the bench, Josh Christopher. Kevin Porter Jr. finished with 17 points in 26 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field and 3 for 7 from 3. Josh Christopher would go on to finish with 17 points in 26 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field. Their forward off the bench, Bruno Fernando, finished with 16 points and 11 rebounds alongside 2 blocks in 23 minutes. He shot a perfect 8 for 8 from the field. On the winning end of this matchup, the Dallas Mavericks would be led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard out of Slovenia, Luka Doncic. He finished with 30 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks, and 5 turnovers in 36 minutes. He shot 9 for 19 from the field, 5 for 11 from 3, and he shot 7 for 10 from the foul line. Their starting center, Dwight Powell, will go on to finish with 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks, all in 32 minutes. He shot 9 for 11 from the field and 8 for 9 from the foul line. With this win, the Dallas Mavericks are now 41-26. That is the 5th best record in the Western Conference, as they've now won 8 of their last 10 games. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they now sit half a game behind the 4th place Utah Jazz. They sit a game ahead of the 6th place Denver Nuggets. They are currently trailing the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 12 whole games in the conference. With this loss, the Houston Rockets are now 17-50. That is now the worst record in the Western Conference, and that is also the worst record in the NBA. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games. They now trail the 10th place New Orleans Pelicans by 10 games in the conference. Now taking a look at what happened in Memphis. The Memphis Grizzlies hosted the New York Knicks. The Grizzlies ended up beating the Knicks by 4. They won this one 118-114. They won by 4 after outscoring the Knicks by 13 in the fourth quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the New York Knicks were led in scoring by their starting power forward out of Kentucky, Julius Randle. Randle finished with 36 points, 12 rebounds, rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 40 minutes. He shot 11 for 27 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 11 from 13 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard out of Duke, RJ Barrett, finished with 23 points and 7 rebounds in 40 minutes. He shot 9 for 25 from the field, and I guess also in their starting lineup, their starting center, Mitchell Robinson, would finish with 10 points, 16 rebounds, 3 steals, and 4 blocks in 34 minutes. He shot 5 for 8 from the field. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Memphis Grizzlies were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard out of Murray State, Ja Morant. He finished with 37 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals in 38 minutes. He shot 14 for 33 from the field. He will go on to shoot 1 for 4 from 3 and 8 for 10 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, with this win, the Memphis Grizzlies are now 46-22. That is now the second best record in the Western Conference and the second best record in the NBA. The Grizzlies have won their last 2 games and they've won 6 of their last 10. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they are sitting 7.5 games behind the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns. The Grizzlies are sitting half a game ahead of the third place Golden State Warriors at the moment. With this loss, the New York Knicks are now 28-39. That is the 4th worst record in the Eastern Conference. They've now lost 7 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 4.5 games behind the 10th place Atlanta Hawks outside of the Eastern Conference play-in picture. Jumping out to New Orleans, the New Orleans Pelicans hosted the Charlotte Hornets in this battle of the Hornets, or in the Hornets Bowl. The Charlotte Hornets would end up beating the New Orleans Pelicans 142-120. They would win this matchup by 22 after outscoring the Pelicans by 15 points in the third quarter. That would be the big quarter for them. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown New Orleans Pelicans were led in scoring by their shooting guard off the bench, Trey Murphy III. He would go on to finish with 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists in 28 minutes. He would shoot 12 for 20 from the field, 7 for 12 from 3, and he shot 1 for 2 from the foul line. As, of course, we're talking about Trey Murphy, the shooting guard out of Virginia, the 21-year-old. Big game for him. On the winning end of this matchup, the Charlotte Hornets would be led in scoring by their starting small forward Miles Bridges out of Michigan State. He finished with 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists in 29 minutes. He shot 9 for 15 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard, Terry Rozier, finished with 25 points, 8 assists, and 2 steals in 33 minutes. He shot 9 for 17 from the field and 7 for 13 from 3. Their elite starting point guard, LaMelo Ball, would finish with 17 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, and 3 steals in 31 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Charlotte Hornets are 33-35. That is the 9th best record in the Eastern Conference win percentage-wise. They've now won 4 of their last 10 games. They've won 1 more game and they've lost 1 more game than the Hawks, so they are currently sitting just 1 up with them. Sitting alongside the Hawks, they are sitting a game and a half behind the 8th place Brooklyn Nets, and they are sitting 2.5 games ahead of the Washington Wizards, who are the first team on the outside of the play-in picture looking in. With this loss, the New Orleans Pelicans are 27-40. That is the 10th best record in the Western Conference, as they've now lost their last 4 games. Their 4-game losing streak is now tied with the Thunder for the second longest active losing streak in the West. Like I said, they've lost 6 of their last 10 games. They're holding on to that last play-in spot. They are sitting 2.5 games behind the 9th place Los Angeles Lakers, and they are sitting a game ahead of the San Antonio Spurs, who are the first team on the outside looking in. Taking a look now at what happened in San Antonio, the Spurs hosted the Utah Jazz. The San Antonio Spurs would beat the Utah Jazz 104-102. They won this matchup by 2 after they outscored the Jazz by 12 in the fourth quarter to overcome their 10-point deficit. On the losing end of this matchup, the Utah Jazz were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell. He finished with 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in 35 minutes. Spida shot 10 for 23 from the field and 4 for 11 from 3. Their elite starting center, Rudy Gobert, finished with 13 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 2 for 3 from the field and 9 for 10 from the foul line. Their center off the bench, Hassan Whiteside, finished with 13 points and 10 rebounds in 16 minutes. He shot 6 for 7 from the field. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown San Antonio Spurs were led in scoring by their all-star starting point guard DeJounte Murray. He finished with 27 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 5 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 9 for 23 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, and 8 for 12 from the foul line. Their starting center, Jakob Poeltl, finished with 15 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 29 minutes. He shot 6 for 11 from the field and 3 for 6 from the foul line. Their starting small forward, Keldon Johnson, finished with 13 points and 10 rebounds in 37 minutes. He shot 5 for 15 from the field and 2 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the San Antonio Spurs are 26-41. That is the 5th worst record in the Western Conference, as they've now won 4 of their last 10 games. They are currently sitting 1 game behind the 10th place New Orleans Pelicans, right outside of the play-in picture looking in. And with this loss, the Utah Jazz are now 41-25. That is the 4th best record in the Western Conference. They've only lost 4 of their last 10 games. In the playoff picture, they are sitting 3.5 games behind the 3rd place Golden State Warriors. They are now sitting half a game ahead of the 5th place Dallas Mavericks. They trail the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 11.5 games at the moment. Jumping out to Phoenix, speaking of the Suns hosted the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors would end up beating the Suns 117-112. The Raptors won this game by 5 after they outscored the Suns by 10 in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Phoenix Suns were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Cameron Payne. He would go on to finish with 24 points and 7 rebounds alongside 2 steals. He would go on to foul out in 37 minutes. Payne would go on to shoot 9 for 18 from the field and 3 for 4 from the foul line. The Suns' elite starting shooting guard out of Kentucky, Devin Booker, would finish with 22 points, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists in 37 minutes. He would go on to shoot 9 for 18 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Toronto Raptors were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of Duke, Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent would go on to finish with 42 points and 8 rebounds in 40 minutes. He shot 13 for 21 from the field, 8 for 11 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. Their starting power forward, Pascal Siakam, finished with 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 10 assists in 41 minutes. He shot 10 for 24 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Toronto Raptors are now 36-30. That is the 7th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've now won their last 2 games, and they've now won 5 of their last 10. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they now sit 2 games behind the 6th place Cleveland Cavaliers. They are sitting 2.5 games ahead of the 8th place Brooklyn Nets. They are currently sitting 8 full games behind the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat at the moment. With this loss, the Phoenix Suns are now 53-14. That is still the best record in the Western Conference, as they hold the best record in the NBA. They are currently sitting at 53-14 after they've lost 4 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 7.5 games ahead of the 2nd place Memphis Grizzlies. They sit 26 games ahead of the 10th place New Orleans Pelicans, as the Phoenix Suns at this moment are still the only team in the NBA that have clinched a playoff spot this year going into the 2022 playoffs, at least as of right now, as of March 12th. And then last but not least, jumping to the Crypto.com arena, the Los Angeles Lakers would host the Washington Wizards. The Lakers would end up beating the Wizards 122-109. They would win this game by 13 after outscoring the Wizards by 14 in the third quarter and then by 6 in the fourth. They would outscore the Wizards by 20 in the second half to win this game. On the losing end of this matchup, the Wizards were led in scoring by their starting small forward and former Los Angeles Laker and champion for the Lakers, Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma finished with 23 points and 7 rebounds in 32 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field. He will go on and alongside him, their starting small forward, their rookie out of Gonzaga, Corey Kispert, would finish with 21 points in 34 minutes.
He shot 8 for 14 from the field, and he will go on to shoot 5 for 11 from 3. Their starting center, Kristaps Porzingis, finished with 14 points and 14 rebounds in 25 minutes. He shot 3 for 13 from the field and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Los Angeles Lakers were led in scoring by their goated starting small forward out of Akron, Ohio, LeBron James. He would finish with 50 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 18 for 25 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard, Malik Monk, finished with 21 points in 30 minutes. He shot 8 for 12 from the field and 5 for 7 from 3. Their goated starting point guard out of UCLA, Russell Westbrook, would finish with 5 points, 3 rebounds, and 9 assists in 31 minutes. He shot 2 for 11 from the field and 1 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the hometown LA Lakers are now 29-37. That is the 9th best record in the Western Conference, as they've now won 3 of their last 10 games. In the Western Conference play-in picture, they are sitting 4.5 games behind the 8th place Los Angeles Clippers. They are sitting 2.5 games ahead of the 10th place New Orleans Pelicans. They are currently trailing the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 23.5 games in the conference. With this loss, the Washington Wizards are now 29-36. That is the 5th worst record in the Eastern Conference. They've now lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 2.5 games behind the 10th place Atlanta Hawks, as they are the first team outside of the play-in picture looking in. That is what the NBA is looking like following yesterday's matchups. Taking a look at what is going on today on Saturday, March 12th, while there is a lot of college basketball going on. The primetime matchup, the big one, will be at 8:30 as the Golden Warriors, who hold the 3rd best record in the Western Conference and the NBA, are going to host the Milwaukee Bucks, who are the defending champs that hold the 2nd best record in the Eastern Conference at the moment. The Bucks, coming into this matchup on the road, after having won their last 6 games. They are holding on to the longest active winning streak in the NBA. And taking a look at where the Warriors are, the Warriors entered this matchup having won their last 2 games. They've won 3 of their last 10. They are sitting 8 games out of first place at the moment. So that's what's going on between these 2 teams. Looking at the teams that aren't going to be on prime time at 8 o'clock, the Miami Heat, who hold the best record in the East, are going to host the Minnesota Timberwolves in the FTX Arena. At the same time at 8, the Chicago Bulls are going to host the Cleveland Cavaliers. At the same time at 8, the San Antonio Spurs are going to host the Indiana Pacers. At 9 o'clock, the Denver Nuggets are going to host the Toronto Raptors. At the same time at 9, the Utah Jazz are going to host the Sacramento Kings. And then last but not least, at 10, the Portland Trailblazers are going to host the Washington Wizards to give a sense of what's going on today. And last but not least, leaving the continent and taking a look at what's going on with soccer overseas. Starting off with La Liga in Spain, Atletico Madrid hosted Cádiz and was able to win 2-1. Their first goal will come from their Portuguese forward, João Felix. After Cádiz would score a goal in the 45th minute from Álvaro Negredo, Atletico Madrid would end up taking the lead off of their 68th minute goal from Rodrigo de Paul. With this win, temporarily, Atletico Madrid is sitting on top of La Liga, or they're sitting in 3rd place in La Liga, as they are sitting 4 points behind 2nd place Sevilla, as Madrid has played 1 more game than them. So that's where they're sitting at the moment. And also looking at what happened in Europe, Lille, the defending French champs, would end up drawing with Saint-Étienne. With this draw, they are now temporarily sitting in 6th place, 1 point behind Strasbourg, as they've played 1 more game than Strasbourg. They've opened themselves to get passed up by Nantes, Monaco, and Lyon as well with this draw, as they actually needed a win here. But that's everything that happened yesterday. Taking a look at what's going on today as we jump country to country, starting off with the Premier League in Britain. The best team playing today in the Premier League will be Liverpool as they face off against Brighton and Hove Albion at 7:30. Liverpool enters this matchup holding the 2nd best record in the Prem. They sit 6 points behind first place Man City, as Liverpool has played 1 less game than Man City, so this would give them a chance to shorten their deficit. As their opponents, Brighton and Hove Albion, enter this matchup with the 13th best record in England. Also at 12:30, Manchester United, who holds the 5th best record in England, is going to host Tottenham, who at the moment is holding the 7th best record in England at the moment, and that'll be at 12:30. This is a must-win for both teams. Man U is sitting one game behind fourth place Arsenal, as Man U has played 3 more games than Arsenal. This win could temporarily put them back into fourth place. Tottenham is currently sitting 7th. A win here could possibly see them leapfrog over Man U and put them right behind Arsenal, as Tottenham has played 1 more game than Arsenal at the moment. Moving on to the Spanish continent, moving on to what is going on, or I guess taking a look at what is happening in the Italian league in Serie A. AC Milan, who at the moment is holding on to the best record in Italy, is going to host Empoli. Empoli enters this matchup with the 13th best record in Italy. This is going to be at 2:45. Milan sits 2 points ahead of Inter, so this is a point for them. This is an opportunity for them to increase their deficit. And then Juventus is going to face off against Sampdoria at 12. Juventus is holding the 4th best record in Serie A. They sit 4 points behind third place Napoli. A win could move them a lot closer and very possibly into striking position as Italy is entering its last couple months of the season. So that's what's going on with that league. And then jumping out to Germany, last but not least, at 9:30, the defending German champs Bayern Munich are going to face off against TSG Hoffenheim on ESPN+. Bayern Munich enters this matchup holding the best record in the Bundesliga. They sit 9 points ahead of second place Dortmund, with Bayern playing 1 more game than Dortmund. This win could temporarily put them a double-digit points ahead of Dortmund, putting all the pressure on Dortmund to come back, as their opponents Hoffenheim enter this matchup as the 4th best team in Germany at the moment, holding on to a Champions League spot. So that is virtually what is going on in these leagues. And with that said, I want to thank everyone for following along for the entire hour that I've been going over this. I want to thank the ESPN, NCAA, NBA, and FIFA websites for giving me all that I need. I also want to apologize for all the names that I butchered. And with that said, once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Sunday, March 13th. And until then, I want to thank everyone for listening. I do hope all is well. And I will catch you with another piece tomorrow. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you with another piece tomorrow. Peace out. Thanks for listening.